Are there any other opportunities within the family? I think the second thing you wanted to talk about was pay the family in terms of reducing your taxable income.
Absolutely. I was only talking to a client today, for example, who has two daughters in college, and they're going on the Erasmus year next year, which is going to cost him around 10,000 euro per daughter. And he was saying, well, that's going to cost me 20,000 euro per daughter in salary, because I have to declare 20,000 to put 10,000 in my back pocket to give it to my daughter. And I said, well, not necessarily. Give your daughters a job. In Ireland today, once they're over 16 years of age, the income of a minor is deemed the income of a parent in Ireland. So paying your kids before the age of 16 doesn't achieve any benefit because it's deemed your income anyway. But the income of above the age of 16, you can give your children a job. And I looked it up yesterday for this the client I was talking about. They can earn up to 18,000 a year without paying any tax. So in the case that, where college fees are being paid out of net income, give the kids a job, pay them their own college fees as salary, and effectively half the price of them. The other thing to say is, go back to the spouse, if I may, for a second. There's not only the retirement allowance, the 2 million becoming 4 million, but also when you ultimately come to sell or liquidate your company, there are tax reliefs available at that stage that are personal tax reliefs.
It's interesting that you say that, because that's where my head went, because you and I have been talking about this type of stuff for a number of years now, as interaction. So I'm far more aware now than I ever was before meeting up with you some years ago as to what is available, and I'm far more in tune with what I'm doing and not doing in this regard. Okay, so what's interesting about how we started today, we started about it's all about minimizing tax legitimately, right? That's what this is all about, right? And therefore keeping our hard-earned bucks in our own pockets, right? So and we started with retirement funds as a hugely underutilized mechanism to allow us do that, and we should explore that. And I asked you to prepare for this conversation on the basis that, what would you tell your nearest and dearest? If you could only tell them three things, what would they be? And the first one you said was, without hesitation, retirement funds. And you've explained that up to 2 million, between €1 and 2 million, depending on circumstances. There's criteria attached to everything, folks, right? Don't be getting all bent out of shape. You need to check this stuff out. Up to 2 million per husband and wife if the two of them are in the same business, right? Or in a business.
Right.
The second thing is pay the family, right? So bring your wife or bring your husband into the company and legitimately pay them and reduce your taxable income as a result. Third thing then is, pay your kids, bring your kids in over the age of 16, give them jobs in the organization, pay them, you reduce your taxable income as a result, and it costs you half the money effectively to give them money that they need for college or whatever it might be. Fabulous.
Exactly.
Absolutely crystal clear. And then I'm delighted because you've come into this space here now of if you're planning an exit from your business. 10 years ago, that this part of the conversation wasn't of interest to me, and it may not be of interest to everybody that we're talking to today. But anybody that we're talking to today has those first two opportunities. Absolutely. This third one I want to talk about, and we'll finish the series in this. We might do a second series, Paul, but I think we'll finish the series in this one, which is planning an exit strategy and the tax reliefs around that. So you're happy to go there with me?
Absolutely. So the first thing I was alluding to there a moment ago was there are tax breaks available to business owners who are exiting their business at or beyond retirement. Typically, they're available once you're 55 years of age or older. And basically, one of the reliefs, for example, is a thing called retirement relief. Now, what retirement relief allows you to do is sell or liquidate your interest in your private business for up to €750,000 and pay no tax on it.